Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And with Dashy revealing all the secrets behind the scenes of the OpTic Texas camp over the last couple of seasons, he revealed one key piece of information that we believed from an outside perspective was going on, but it's interesting to hear it from internally as well, that the team internally was making so many excuses behind the scenes as to why they weren't performing, and that's one of the key reasons that Dashy got very frustrated with the state of OpTic Texas last year. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. Pretty cool stuff. Clayster did the pack opening thing right here, so it's a pretty cool cards he got. He got Theory as well. I think someone said to me that he pulled Rambo here, but I can't see it on the cards, unfortunately. He got some cool Duo of the Years, though, with Scump and Formal that won the Duo of the Year award that year, which it's kind of funny, really, because I don't believe they don't really do that anymore. Do they? Duo of the Year? That wasn't a thing last year. They just did that in Modern Warfare for those guys, it seems. And also, kind of strange that there was this Aqua and Octane card, who were a duo very briefly back in the day. As Octane says, that's a really random duo card to have. But yeah, indeed, Advanced Warfare, Envy, way back in the day, I guess those guys were a duo. And also just wanted to mention this that I thought was interesting. So Clayster was reminiscing about the United days, of course, them shutting down as an organization relatively recently. You guys might remember this moment, which, I mean, he's kind of roasting apathy here, because if you guys watch this live, it was one of the craziest maps I've ever seen in COD history, where Evil Geniuses were 6 points away here on this Arsenal hardpoint from knocking United to the losers bracket. aBeZy was 32 in 14. He got a bit too trigger happy and went for a gravity slam where he kills his own teammate and Arcitys. He kills Attach and Arcitys here. And then United break in, they bring the comeback, they win this map, they win the game 5, they knock United down, or they knock Evil Geniuses down, sorry, and then United went on to win the 20. So that was an absolute madness. But you know, he's talking about aBeZy here, and of course we know there's this rumor now that's been confirmed that FaZe wanted aBeZy in Black Ops 4, and they apparently FaZe wouldn't buy him for 5k. There was a buyout for $5,000 in Black Ops 4 for aBeZy. They didn't do it because I think they were going to get him. I think maybe that was even before he joined United. But then United got him because at the time they didn't have a crazy amount of money either. And obviously they had a crazy results that season. He also went to talk about Simp, right? Because I mentioned this the other day, and we do know, I think at least, that when Simp is going off, it's just absolutely different to what FaZe can deliver when that happens compared to when other players go off on the team. But indeed, when Simp and aBeZy are on fire, like, they're just basically impossible to stop. And even as Clay says, that isn't even arguable. He was by far the best player at a specific game. Quite the gas from Clayster, right, to think about. That, you know, Black Ops 4 Simp, Clayster has as the best version of any player in COD history. Like, we're talking Advanced Warfare Scump, we're talking Infinite Warfare Formal, we're even talking Advanced Warfare Clayster, because he was up there as well in that game. Like, we're looking at all of those guys. Even Advanced Warfare Huke is not far off the conversation. He reckons Black Ops 4 Simp was completely different to all of those guys. Of course, he teamed with him, and maybe has some further reason to believe that, but yeah, Simp, when he joined that team that season, just completely changed the game in Black Ops 4. Now, let's talk about the series result last night. Of course, OpTic come up top against Boston. They won the game 5. They closed out a 5-3 advantage to eventually win 6-3. I think it was 5-2, then it became 6-3 to win the series. And, you know, Method and Scump respond to this in good fashion. Scump's got the moustache going still, so, you know, good to see. He's got the glass of wine as well, enjoying on a Sunday night after the victory. Was some drama about this as well, because there was a lot of back and forth on this. We know that the Rambo Ray versus Dashy memes have been going off in the last few days, and at the end of the day, the way I see it, whatever the thoughts are on Rambo's coaching style, whether it's good or bad, and obviously Karma and Formal and others have given their thoughts on that over the last few days, getting rid of Dashy as they have and building around the Zio guys with Rambo there, effectively having that Dallas Empire core, is going down a route of, and I think for good reason, trying to reduce the drama of the team. We know what the subliners did. They came into the season with Hydra, Kismet, Skies. That's a great core 3. They needed a 4th. They brought Priester in. I thought, okay, well, they go for Gunless. Gunless probably has a higher ceiling than Priester, and Priester wasn't so good the last couple of years. But Priester is going to be a no-drama guy. He's going to get on with your teammates, no problem at all. Going to be a phenomenal teammate. Going to have no issues with him. The team chemistry is going to be fantastic with a guy like Priester. And they did that. Guess what? They win the very first event. And of course, the last couple of years, New York were riddled with drama, and they still, you know, they still made a couple of grand finals. The Crimsix effect, maybe they still managed to win something last year at the Prom Classic. But, you know, still, reducing the drama internally within the team is probably a good, well, recipe for success. And I think it's understandable why they've done this, right? Because, you know, kicking Rambo and keeping Dashy probably isn't an option they can do either. Now, Puckett comes out with this piece actually last night on the broadcast, talking about Rambo's resume and what he did as a player and as a coach, and, you know, one of the smartest minds ever in Call of Duty, and gives him a nice little, you know, really nice little speech actually about that type of stuff. And apparently some, like, really weird fans, I'm guessing, like, fans of Dashy's side of the argument or something, were, like, coming at Puckett with some, like, homophobic remarks. I don't really see any of this stuff, but as he goes on to say, like, this is absolute madness. I don't know why people have to do this in this scene. You disagree with the take that to your right. Don't turn into a trash human because things didn't happen the way you thought they would. You should all be kissing the feet of the folks that paved the way, which, to clarify my followers seeing this, I was not talking about myself. Community was slandering someone and I came to their defense. Some of the retorts were crossing lines. Funny in a way, right, because Puckett himself made some jokes about bowling, as did the CDL broadcast. So, it's not like Puckett's, could be completely on Rambo's side here. And people were kind of arguing, oh, wow, like, they must be, they treating him differently because he's an OpTic member. Even the Stocksman, who is, I believe, for accuracy's cousin, is the guy that runs this account, stating that it's special treatment of an OpTic member because their name's been run through the mud and everything. And, look, he basically says, I've been on the show not that long, put your pitchfork down. And he says, I specifically requested this graphic to support my segment because it's something that Puckett wanted to do. So, yeah, can't lie, it's a bit of a weird one, bit of an interesting circumstance. I can understand why Puckett made this kind of nice segment, and I think it's cool to see. But you can also understand people saying, oh, Rambo must have asked Puckett to do this for some money. But, Puckett replies actually to people in the Twitch chat, let me guess, you are still in high school. Rambo's an old head for the top 3 resume in the league as a coach. Give him the respect. So totally understandable and kind of a cool segment, but it's interesting that it's not just been the fans that have been, talking trash on Rambo a bit the last few days. There have been some rather, high-level players with some also high-level resumes and pedigree that have been saying similar things. Now, Rambo says, this close for battle, got the job done, head down, gonna get back to work tomorrow. But one of the very interesting things that I didn't even get to cover yet, because there's been so much else going on with Dashy versus Rambo the other day, was his thoughts on that internal team dynamic last season and the excuses that he found behind the scenes. Very interesting to hear Dashy's thoughts on this, because it's got to be said that I think myself and others would have imagined that Dashy was kind of part of those excuses. And look, Dashy admits that he wasn't the best teammate, but Dashy explains really that after the iLLeY thing went down and then when iLLeY obviously returned, we heard from Rambo at the time that the team chemistry wasn't quite there, the team, the grind, the willingness wasn't quite there as it was before, and I thought maybe Dashy was kind of a key part of that. Dashy's perspective is though that actually when they lost iLLeY and when iLLeY then returns, the internal opinion was, oh yeah, there's no way we can win, the season's chalked up. And Dashy was like, guys, hang on a second, we don't have iLLeY right now, we're going to get iLLeY back soon, but still the excuses were coming thick and fast. And I know that a lot of OpTic fans have talked about the fact that, oh yeah, OpTic make excuses after losses, which I agree with, right? I think we see this an awful lot from that OpTic team over the last couple of seasons. OpTic themselves deny it, but now Dashy gets dropped and he says, actually internally, they were bringing up all sorts of excuses all of the time.
Like, we wanted to win after winning Major 1. I'm like, bro, let's go hard. I know Ender's out. We could still win, though. But we just kept we just wanted the world to feel sorry for us, bro. Like, oh, we're showing up late, or Ender's out. We can't win, bro. What the Ender's out? I'm like, dude, I know Ender's out. This sucks, bro. Of course. Like, I would want to play with Ender. He's nasty. But we got to still progress. But we just kept we just kept making excuses and excuses. This is another thing I brought up. This is like a month before, or this is a month ago. This is like 3 weeks ago.
So we know that the primary issue with that OpTic team last season was the iLLeY thing, right? iLLeY had the thumb injury. Now, how he got this thumb injury, we don't know. There was the rumor that I've got to just quickly mention because it's not really funny, obviously, because iLLeY got an injury from it. But Crimsic said, and because Crimsic said it, it's probably not accurate, right? I've got to say. But he did say that apparently iLLeY got his thumb injury by going bowling with Rambo Ray in the team. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's particularly likely, or you could get an injury from something like that. Maybe you could if you had the wrong, I don't know, like grip or something, possibly. But still, probably Crimsic's made that up, but maybe there's a rumor that that's actually true. But regardless of the case, iLLeY had the injury, he had to get subbed out of the team. Proluk came in, or General came in first, then Proluk came in, and they were looking pretty good early on. But Dashy reckons that internally, they were like, oh yeah, iLLeY's not here, he's a great player, like, it's chalked, right? There's no way we're going to be able to do anything. And we know that Scump said a fair bit of this. We saw Scump on stream, we saw Scump on podcast, who was getting quite frustrated with the state of, because fans, were talking trash on the OpTic team after they got iLLeY back and saying that they weren't as good as they were before, which of course was true. And Scump was coming out quite a few times and said, well, what do you expect, right? We were without our star player, or without one of our key players for our system, let's say, for a couple of months, and that really affected our practice, and things fell off as a result. And how do you expect us to be able to keep up with the opposition after a situation like that? And the other teams had their full team the entire time, and it did feel like mentally they were already preparing to lose, right? And we've seen this with various excuses from the OpTic camp the last couple of seasons, and it's always been a thing that sometimes I talk about excuses on this channel, but the OpTic guys will deny it. They'll be like, oh yeah, no, we're not making excuses, this is reasonable explanations. But then Dashy comes out, gets dropped, and is like, actually, yeah, internally they're making all sorts of excuses last year, and I was trying to shut down these excuses, but it seemed like already internally they'd kind of agreed that if they lost, they had something ready to go. And maybe you can understand that with the pressure of the fans and like how it is with OpTic and having the biggest fan base and all the eyes on them and all this. And I'm sure Dashy felt that as well to a certain extent, as he's mentioned in the past, that when you lose on OpTic, it's tough. When you win on OpTic, it's great. But it's difficult having all that pressure. And even Fummel talked about this when he was kind of removed from the Dynasty, and he just felt like the team dynamic internally was a bit strange. He felt like they weren't really taking things so seriously, and it's just an interesting problem that's reoccurred again. And I know that people might point eyes to Scump or whatever for this, and I do think in fairness that since Formula's left OpTic and since Crimsix has left OpTic, that team dynamic and chemistry has been a bit different, and obviously Scump isn't the kind of perfect leadership character that some other veterans are at that point in their career. But yeah, definitely thought I'd mention that for you guys, because really interesting piece of the puzzle there with what was going down within that camp, and yeah, just the fact that I thought maybe Dashy was a key part of that, and maybe he was, and obviously he's going to give it from his perspective. And in fairness, I thought that when Rambo came in, when iLLeY and Shotzzy came in from Dallas Empire, that kind of excuses culture would vanish, because I think it was kind of there in OpTic Chicago, to be honest. Then they brought the Envy merger in, and I thought that was going to be it, and it was going to be Rambo's way or the highway type thing, and it was going to be no excuses. But even, Rambo, in fairness, on stream a couple of times was arguing that, oh yeah, what can you expect us to do because of all these issues? And okay, probably fair enough. But if you have that mentality, I think it holds you back from, your maximum performance level. If you fully believe that, okay, yeah, we might be in a tough spot here, but we can still win, then I think you've got a much better chance of doing exactly that, rather than already preparing to lose and then knowing that you've got a good explanation for it. So yeah, just thought that was very interesting. Not saying that Dashy's completely in the right here and OpTic are completely in the wrong. We never know really how things have gone down there internally, but I will be intrigued to see the rest of the season how it plays out if things go wrong for OpTic, because like even the SAE drama, right, and the fact that, oh yeah, that happened and then chalked off their mental a bit, and also the fact that they had no practice at the start of the game, oh yeah, they were under practice going into the major. These type of things are always talked about with OpTic, and it never seems to go away. So I'm definitely looking closely to see that now they've pretty much got the entire Dallas Empire core that was not known for doing any of this stuff, whether those kind of tendencies still creep in. And OpTic aren't exactly out of the woods right yet. So, okay, they got a good victory against Boston, but they're still 4-4 here. They still don't have that many points on the board. A good performance at the major will sort them right out, but still, they've only got 30 points so far this season. All of those coming from online qualifiers, and still obviously quite a lot of work still to be done. So very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this in the comment section below. But still got to mention, okay, we might talk about Scump and excuses and all this, but he's still absolutely frying right. He's delivering when it matters. Yesterday dropped to 1.22, the third highest KD of the day behind Scrappy, Insight, and then Scump, of course, rounding out the top 3 from last night. So very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.
Doesn't matter. Wins the fight against Vivid. Awakening now, 1v2. He's got time.
Oh, he heard him.
He doesn't have Daddy. He's already used it on the round. They're going to back on up. Oh, and this is it. We find out what you're made of in a difficult spot like this. Shotzzy, it's just too much to handle. The team change in effect. And OpTic